What is up, lab members and stuff?
Resident Evil
Fans? 001 here, and as you can see, the setting is very different. I'm in the screen, and that's because we're doing a very different video today. There's three things I want to go through before starting the real video, or well, this is part of the video, I suppose, is what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how I'm doing it. So what am I doing? Well, you can see it in the thumbnail. I am going to make a real-life Resident Evil or Biohazard save room. Now, why am I going to do that? That's actually a very interesting story, and I think it's very fun. It makes me very happy. It's because I have a concert I'm going to in Amsterdam next week with my girlfriend Mia, or 002. You've seen her on the channel before, hopefully. And she is coming from England all the way to Amsterdam to go see this concert with me and to stay in Amsterdam for the weekend. But Mia herself is a really big Resident Evil fan, and I wanted to make a fun surprise for her. Now, obviously, if we're gonna have our own hotel room, then that, when I was thinking about it, I thought, well, that's kind of like our safe room. But how am I going to do it? Because obviously I'm not going to take a picture from one of the games and make it exactly the same. No, I'm making it its own little hotel safe room. A few things I thought were the most important parts of a safe room, and to me that is obviously being able to save with a typewriter and the music in the background, obviously the famous safe room music throughout the Resident Evil series. First thing I wanted to get is obviously the typewriter itself, because the music, I can just turn the music on my phone on in the background, that's not a problem. You know, just YouTube it, no problem. I wanted to get a typewriter, so I got one. I should have got two, but I got one. And not only that, I wanted to make it a bigger surprise. So the plan is she's gonna get into the hotel room, it's gonna have the music on, it's gonna have the typewriter, and I'm gonna be like, honey, do you wanna save? And she's gonna say, yeah, but I don't have an ink ribbon. Or I'm gonna say, well, you can't save because you don't have an ink ribbon. And I'm going to put a item box or just any closet drawer in the hotel room. It's gonna be the item box. I'm gonna tell her, hey, check the item box if there's an ink ribbon in there. And in the item box, I'll have gifts for her and an actual ink ribbon. So the gifts I've prepared are a 20th anniversary Resident Evil t-shirt and a Hatsune Miku Happy from the 2020, from this concert. It's a jacket, and I think it's really awesome. And I've also, because I know she loves Resident Evil, I know she'll love the typewriter, but obviously she can't take it home. It's heavy, it's big, it won't fit anywhere. So I got her a miniature typewriter to take home with her as well. So it's a simple idea, but she's gonna come in, she's gonna see all the cool stuff like typewriter, music, open the box, get all her gifts, and that's about it, really. But before we can set everything up, I wanna make sure everything is as good as it can be. So we're gonna take a closer look at my typewriter and see if we can clean it, make it look a little bit better. Now here's the typewriter, and if I'm allowed to be honest, I have no knowledge of Resident Evil whatsoever, besides the fact that my girlfriend is a really big fan, so I hear what she has to say about it, and I see her play the games, but I myself had never tried them, or besides Revelations on the Switch, and so I didn't know a lot about it. Luckily, I find these things very fascinating, and being able to do the research about something that my girlfriend absolutely loves, and something that I'm interested in as well, was a lot of fun. Now, about the typewriters in Resident Evil, there's different models used throughout the games, and some of them have been based off real-life typewriters. Now, if you look at this, you might think, hey, I remember this one from Resident Evil 2 Remake. Almost. This is one of the, how do you call it, a knockoff model? So basically, the typewriter that was used in Resident Evil 2 Remake is modeled after the real-life Royal 10. But that's the main one you see throughout the series. And then they have some other ones. The one in Code Veronica, I don't think is based after a real thing, but it's really neat looking. And the one in Resident Evil is based on the Corona 3 folding typewriter, if I'm correct. But anyway, I wanted to find something that looked like the one from Resident Evil, and this looks really good. And this is a German Torpedo 6, and it's in very good condition. I got this on an auction site online for 25 bucks. And it works fine. It's in great condition, besides the fact that here's a little broken panel, but it's clean, it's neat looking, there's no rust. It works extraordinarily well. If I have no ink ribbons in there and nothing in there because I'm not using this. But I'll show you guys just some typing. It works fine. It has the great little bell. It's really robust. It's strong. It's heavy. Even this movement is so strong that if I don't hold it while I do it, it shakes up the table. It's a crazy thing. But like I said, it's not the real Royal 10. It looks like it, but it's not the real thing. So can I present something that looks like it to a hardcore Resident Evil girlfriend? Of course not. So what did I do? I got the real thing. And there we go, a Royal 10. Now there's a lot of things I want to say about this, and we're going to start about this typewriter within the Resident Evil series. Now there's been some design changes throughout the games, and in Resident Evil 1 Remake, these had black keys, which also they exist with Royal 10s. In Resident Evil 2 Remake, they had more modern keys that you'd see on a keyboard, which is odd, but they did that. It's not a real thing, but they did that. And then in Resident Evil 4, it has the white keys. Now, the Royal 10 was released in 1914. That's over 100 years ago. The original ones had 2 glass panels on the side, and the later ones, they changed it around late 20s, I think. I'm not really sure. Again, I'm a rookie, so if you guys know better, let me know in the comments. And yeah, they changed it to the 1 glass panel on the sides. Now, I was lucky enough, I suppose, to be able to find one that has the 2 glass panels on each side, looking hella good. However, the ones in Resident Evil have 1 glass panel. So it's a bit of an older model, maybe, I think so, which I think is just cooler, but it's not 100% accurate then, but that's okay. The worst thing about it, I think, is that the type bar is broken. There's no actual key there, so I can't use the O. So I can't use it unless I replace the O. But again, it's supposed to be for in a room for a few days, so it's not supposed to be used. But even if I buy them, I'd like them to be in the best working condition I can get them. So that's a bit of an issue, isn't it? But we're gonna do some cleaning on video actually. So first things that we're gonna do is get rid of the ink ribbon. What we're gonna do is I wanna lift that, I wanna put that all the way over there, and then I'm gonna hold a key so that goes up as high as possible. You're gonna just go under, and here you go under. If I can do that with my other hand. You wanna go under and above. These are the ink ribbons, the famous way to save in the game. And I've removed the screws here, so maybe I'll be able to remove these. Right, so these just take out like all the dust. I'm gonna have to clean all of that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna clean this up, and how we're gonna do that is very simple actually. Use a toothbrush. People I watch on YouTube usually have the metal wire soft brushes. I don't own that, so I'm just gonna use a toothbrush. Again, I'm a noob. I'm gonna lift all these up. Actually, just maybe that's easier. Try to lift them up. I'm gonna hold this cluster bars, and I'm gonna put this cloth underneath it. Like that. Oop. Shimmy it forward a little bit. Look at that. So now that the cloth is under, I'm gonna get this rubbing alcohol. I'm gonna try to spray it. All right, there we go. Just over the. All right, and then I'm gonna get the toothbrush and just give it a good scrub. Now the alcohol should be dissolving all the gook and ink and stuff that was on there. And then the M, which is I think one of these segments, is also sticky. So I'm gonna just beep bloop, spray in there and remove some of the gook. Now what's important is that if you do this and your keys are sticking because there's gook in the grooves of these segments, is that you do it multiple times and that you blow the gook out after it dissolved, because otherwise it might get into even more difficult places to remove it, because obviously it's going to melt, it's going to get in deeper, and it's going to dry again, and you don't want that. We're going to just see if this if the N or the M works. Falls down instantly. Right, so we can pull that out. I might want to replace this at some point, but not right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get behind all the little places that have dust in there. Oh boy. Look at that. I think that might need some actual cloth. And as you know, I've used the cloth. So it's going to have some of the alcohol on there as well. And then I'll have to figure out later why exactly the carriage does not want to move correctly when it's outside of its shift. It has an interesting little barcode here, or a serial number, saying, let's see, X529332. Not sure what that means, but there it is. Alright, so yeah, we're just cleaning it basically. And then I want to also clean these, give them a good rub. Oh. Then obviously the very dirty panels over here, and that's just giving it a good rub. Now what I also want to do is, and that's one of the more dangerous parts I believe, is that I want to get rid of some rust. WD-40. Never use this to lubricate any of the mechanisms. Just use rubbing oil, rubbing alcohol or whatever, so everything gets all clean and there's nothing that's gonna make a problem. Now I'm using this for a different reason, and that's because apparently WD-40 it separates rust, so I can clean rust with it. Now you can see a little bit of rust up here. I'm gonna put that up, wrap this around it, just to catch some of it. I'm gonna spray it on. Just so that it has a little layer of that on there. And I'm going to clean up wherever I don't want it to be. Alright, so now there's a little layer on the rust, and in 10 minutes that should be able to be scrubbed off. Now as we're waiting for our WD-40 to clean up that rust for our test, we're going to look at one of the ink ribbons. This is the ink ribbon I'm going to use for my surprise, and it is from a Dutch brand called Talents. It's a Dutch ink company that has now been bought by a Japanese one, and they still make ink, but for obviously newer devices. This is what I think the closest real life equivalent of the Resident Evil ink ribbon, and that's because the colors, the shapes with the circle, I cannot find anything that looks more like this. So I got the one that to me looked the most like the real life thing. I don't want to print stuff and make it real Resident Evil blah blah blah. I want to have the real life equivalents of what they have in the game. So here is the tin standard ribbon, and then at the bottom we have black. And inside, I did this myself, there's a more modern ribbon. This one I got from the lady who sold me the Torpedo 6. She still had one that was inked. It still had ink in it. It's a bit of a modern one as well. And I packaged this myself. And as I'm not going to write too much, I have a little ink ribbon to go with the gifts. We're past 10 minutes. I winged it and put it on the sides here as well. No idea if it's going to scrub with the paint or not, but let's find out. So now that part will be rust free. I'm just a bit afraid to do the sides because I don't want to rub the paint off, obviously.
But maybe if I use a toothbrush, that might be less scary. But again, how much is a toothbrush scrub? Not a lot. But honestly, that does look a lot better. No rust. See that difference? Yeah. Scary WD-40, guys. Oh, I think you can just toothbrush it. Okay, that's much safer. You can just toothbrush it. See that rust disappear? Yeah. Alright, last thing before we're done here is we're gonna have to open up the bottom. And this panel over here, as you can see, is not in it correctly. I want to fix that. And then we're done with this for today. And then maybe later I'll try to figure out what's wrong with the carriage. Jeez, that was not easy. Okay. Let's look at that. Now we're supposed to be able to screw that out over here. So that fell out. Now this should be posable. Look at that. I'll take that out entirely. Should be able to push that back in here. I'm not sure what's blocking it. There we go. Alrighty, so now we can put this thing back down. And this should look good again. And there we go. And then we're gonna have to go and get that up there, like so. There we go. Okay. Alpsite kangaroo, because I don't have any R's. But the ribbon works still, which I didn't think they would after so long, I suppose. But they're working fine. Helly again. No, oh, that makes it really difficult to use. But again, I'm not planning on using it. And to make it perfect, I also added a real save file. So if we go look at the paper that I've put in, you can see right there we have Mia's first save in the bunker, that's her place. We have the second save by Mona, by me, in the Snuggle Town, that's my place. And then as you can see, the third one will be in the hotel room.